was born in 1944. And it's called the lucky generation because it was the first generation in American history that was smaller than the generation before it. And the reason it was smaller is because historically that was the time that the United States went through the Great Depression, so people couldn't afford to have a lot of children. And then the Second World War, when of course a lot of the men were away and there just wasn't the opportunity to have children. And and so we ended up as these much smaller generation than the boomers and the one before us. And as time has gone by, and the lucky generation are in their 70s and 80s, it's been discovered that this is the wealthiest, most successful generation in the history of the United States on a per capita basis. And that's where the name lucky comes from, because all the facilities for schooling, the job market had been designed, and had grown to accommodate a much larger generation, and then the smaller generation came along. So, when I went to school in first grade, which was 1950, there was more than enough teachers, there was more than enough classroom space, there were more than enough supplies, and so everything seemed very abundant. And it just so happened that coincided with one of the most abundant periods of American history, which was right after the Second World War, starting with about 3 or 4 years after the Second World War, because the United States suffered no war damage. The economy was intact, the factories were going full-time throughout the war, and they came back, and you had all these men and women who were released from the armed forces, and they came back. They had the GI Bill, which gave them educational, free education. They had the GI Bill, which supplied them with free mortgages. And American factories were producing products for the entire world. So, when I left high school, you could go into the marketplace and you had your choice of jobs. I went to college, and they were so eager that I would sign up for their college, because they had more classroom, they had more space. So my entire life, there's always been a lot. I've never experienced scarcity. This has had a lifetime impact on all my thinking about entrepreneurship. There's just so much opportunity. There's just so much capability. There's so many capabilities. There's so many resources that are available that I never think of scarcity. And I've met other people who are members of the lucky generation, and almost in every case they have this very abundant outlook, and it has to do with the fact of when they were born. So a lot of life is really luck. I think it's 50% luck, and then the other 50% is knowing how to take advantage of luck. And I believe I've really taken advantage of the luck of when I was born on the planet.